Welcome back to our channel. Vernon recoiled, the world tilting beneath him, as Sharon's quiet confession, months in the making, locked away in her trembling chest, tumbled into the room. June. The name rattled in his mind like shrapnel, each syllable a detonator of years-long pain. For 2 decades he had moved through life under the assumption that his daughter, his flesh and blood, had vanished into thin air, swallowed by the indifferent void of lost history. And now, standing before him, was the proof. Sharon had hidden the truth, June had been his daughter all along. His heart thundered, a vicious pulse echoing the betrayal. He had built a life on a reasoned assumption, a rote kind of grief he believed himself immune to. He had attended memorials, sent letters into the nothing, braced himself for the eventual closure that never arrived. But this discovery, this monstrous, shattering moment, pulled the rug out from under him. It wasn't sorrow anymore, it was rage. A rage sharp and filthy, born from the sense of being manipulated, deceived, robbed of time. Sharon's face was drawn, pale in the lamplight, shadows wrinkling around the corners of her eyes. She held June's photograph in one trembling hand, fingers white-knuckled. She had kept it hidden behind layers of loyalty, fear, guilt. Vernon's mind ran wild. What had she been thinking? Protecting him? Protecting June? Or protecting herself from the consequences of truth? Each possibility stung. He blamed her for the years lost, the milestones missed, the birthdays uncelebrated, the tears cried alone. The room felt smaller now, walls closing in as the past writhed into the air between them. Vernon's memory replayed the lost years, June's earliest steps, first day of school, teenage angst, graduation, none of which he had seen. He had instead cultivated a stoic detachment, convincing himself that closure would come, that living without her was his fate. But tonight, Sharon's admission warred with that belief. The rage boiled. How dare she keep her from him? How dare she decide for him? Yet beneath that seething fury flickered another truth, one that frightened Vernon even more. Because if June was his daughter, then his heart, so long barricaded, recognized her even before his mind could. It fluttered with a fierce yearning he despised, the desire to walk toward her, to reach out and apologize for not waiting, not searching hard enough. The mingled shame and hope made his throat constrict. He had spent years convincing himself he was fine, now he realized he never was. And June, she hovered in this emotional crucible, unaware of the storm she had set in motion. Keen eyes, uncertain smile, the kind of quiet strength that belied her own internal tremors. For her, the revelation was equally disorienting. A father she had never known, standing before her with the intensity of one betrayed and the vulnerability of one who still hoped. She felt Sharon's secret like a wound in her chest, throbbing. She was grateful that at last truth had emerged, and yet furious at the deception. How many nights had she wondered why she felt disconnected from her past? How many times had she asked why she lacked the deeper roots so many siblings around her had? Sharon's silence had offered protection, or so she said now, but to June it had been isolation, an unanswered question, a missing piece. As Vernon glared at Sharon, his fists clenching unconsciously, he weighed the options. To throw blame, to pursue legal rights, to seize June in a rush of possessiveness, to demand explanation and retribution. He could litigate against Sharon for withholding truth, or insist on immediate inclusion in June's life. Or he could step back, gather his composed self and attempt a gentle approach. But anger dominated him now. The blood in his veins was hot. Sharon's reasons, her half-confessed motives, barely sketched the full portrait. She had acted in the shadows, fearing the havoc revealing June's identity would wreak, on Vernon's career, the family's reputation, June's emotional equilibrium. She claimed she protected everyone. But at what cost? The burden of secrecy had calcified into resentment. She had watched Vernon grieve for someone he believed gone. She had supervised the adoption papers, cleared it through channels, covered tracks. She had watched June grow under her wing as though she were a guardian, not a mother. Now confronted, she understood the magnitude of what she had done, but that understanding arrived too late. In that small room, tension crystallized. Vernon's moral compass, long set to enduring loss, spun off axis. He thought of the years jettisoned, birthdays, graduations, the first crush, the heartbreak, the victories, all unshared. He looked at June and felt simultaneously drawn and repelled by her. She was his daughter, yet a stranger. He wanted to reach across the table, but the weight of everything stopped him. June stood slightly behind Sharon, arms crossed defensively, chin lifted. Her eyes flicked between them, an emotional fulcrum. She felt torn, gratitude for the father she never knew, indignation at the mother who kept him from her, bewilderment at the man who now claimed her. She realized with sick clarity that she wasn't simply entering a new relationship, she was reliving years lost. She didn't know how to trust. Her life had been stable, semi-stable thanks to Sharon, but the revelation yanked the foundation out from under her. She had lived the life of someone else's daughter, someone else's child, now she questioned every memory, every feeling. Vernon's anger shifted to accusation. How could you, he thought, unable to speak yet. Sharon's silence challenged him, but her eyes glimmered with a mixture of defiance and regret. She had weighed the non-disclosure knowingly. She had decided that revealing June's origin would fracture families. And now, motivated by his stance, she wondered if she had made the wrong choice. June's quiet voice in his head, "What if I refuse you?" Her question haunted him. Because even if he had the legal right or emotional claim, would she accept him? And if she did, would he betray her trust as Sharon betrayed his? He realized he had become like her, a man who assumed power over someone else's truth. The realization cut him deeper than any revelation. Sharon watched the confrontation unfold silently. She sensed her protective instincts had failed. For years she had believed she was doing what was right, shielding June, preserving Vernon, keeping peace. But now peace was shattered. She could feel the fissure opening beneath her feet. She had to choose between full disclosure and immediate escape. She needed to answer Vernon's rage and June's questions. She needed to let June decide. She needed to face the truth she had silenced. The moment expanded, elongated. Words seemed insufficient. Vernon's mind raced. Should he storm out? Should he demand explanation, compensation for lost time? Should he assert his presence in June's life with force or quietly observe and hope? Each option seemed flawed. Each felt like a betrayal of something, his own right to fatherhood, June's right to autonomy, Sharon's truth burden. June broke the stalemate. Though no words left her lips, her stance shifted, subtle but definitive. She moved a step closer to Vernon, yet her eyes remained locked on Sharon. She wanted answers, but she also wanted space to process. Her anger at Sharon was fierce, the kind of anger that hollows you out. The hurt at Vernon was quieter, but persistent. How did he not look for her? Did he assume she didn't exist? Did he give up? The questions clustered like black flies around her consciousness. In that charged silence, Vernon realized the decision he had to make. He could seize this moment, demand immediate access, rewrite history from here on, but risk suffocating June in the expectation of lost years. Or he could step back, give her back her pace, ask forgiveness instead of demanding rights. The latter required humility, a concept he rarely practiced. But the former risked repeating the cycle of control and betrayal that had just undone them. Sharon's decision also loomed. She could relinquish her guardianship fully, fade into the background and watch from afar, or she could fight to maintain her role in June's life, aware that every moment might echo a lie. She wasn't sure June would forgive her. She wasn't sure Vernon would forgive himself. But the right path, simple in its clarity, felt impossibly hard. As Vernon finally opened his mouth, his voice thick with emotion, the words that emerged weren't demands, they were confessions. I failed you, he thought, not because I didn't try, but because I believed a lie that kept me distant. The admission, raw and vulnerable, stunned him. June's shoulders relaxed slightly, the armor of rejection loosening. For the first time, she saw the human version of the father she had imagined, flawed, regretful, and reaching. Sharon's lips parted, her defenses down for the first time in years. In that scarred and fragile moment, the triangle of father, mother, daughter shifted into something new. Not yet peace. Not yet healing. But a possibility. A question: could trust rise after betrayal? Could love grow after so much deprivation? Could the stolen years be reclaimed in small, trembling moments? The night stretched on as they sat there, each processing their role in the secret, the betrayal, the revelation. Vernon's anger began to cool into something heavier: sorrow, responsibility. June's anger split into suspicion and tentative curiosity. Sharon's fear transformed into resolve: she would answer for the lie, and she would let June lead the way. The hardest decision still lay ahead. Vernon would need to rebuild a relationship with a daughter who didn't know him. June would have to redefine her identity in light of truths she had never asked for. Sharon would have to live with the consequence of silence and trust the ones she had protected to decide whether to stay. Betrayal had opened the gate, but perhaps through that opening, connection might follow.